Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Rick Vavro and Austin Underground. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We're going to answer a lot of those here in just a little bit. But first, we got a lot to talk about this morning, fellas. You're already seeing people reference it down in the chat. Sark, of course, met with the media yesterday, had a lot to say. One clip in particular went viral, and if you haven't seen it yet, we're just going to start with that clip. And
why not?
I'm going to just here it is in all its glory.
Arch Manning seemed to be having some throwing pains by the
According to
quarter.
who?
Arch?
Arch said that to you?
No.
Oh, according to who?
It just looked like he was.
He doesn't have any.
Is there an explanation to why it looked like that?
I don't know. I've never filmed any of you guys when you're using the bathroom, so I don't know what faces you make when you're doing that.
Is he saying Arch was straining? I mean,
is this a good time for my Tushy read?
Oh,
look,
man.
I mean, Sark basically said what we've been saying the whole time. You don't have arm problems if you're then throwing a frozen rope 40 yards downfield the very next play.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way. I mean, for someone that's had arm problems before, I mean, it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't go in and out. You know, you either have an arm problem or you don't. It doesn't come and go. So, look, I thought Sark was a little feisty with the response, a little snarky, I guess is the best way to put it. But you know, look, we need to get away from this era, I think. And this is me preaching a little bit here. So I realize, please take it for what it's worth, which is not much. But we need to get away from this era of trying to report on things from 100 miles away. And what I mean by that is Danny Cannell is sitting there. Oh, something has to be wrong with his arm. You know, people that are known commodities in sport, they're making these suppositions without actually having any information other than a photo. And frankly, that's part of what's wrong with reporting nowadays. You can't, it's all opinion. It's no truth. And I feel like, you know, Arch is already on the pedestal he's on. You don't need to micro evaluate everything else. And so I just feel like that's part of why Sark was snarky in his response. You and I both know that Arch is not going to play if he's injured, given who his parents are, given who his relative. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. It's a $500 million decision. I said that yesterday. So I feel like if we know anything and can learn anything from this is don't try to judge the book from a million miles away, especially these national guys that really have no inclination. I mean, when's the last time Danny Cannell went to a UT football practice? Never.
Hopefully never.
Yeah, but you get my point, right? Like never. I mean, I feel like that's where some of this is coming from.
Yeah, and look, here's the other thing, and we've talked about this for months. Everybody's going to try to build a name or off of Arch Manning in some way or the other. 100% is going to happen. People from all around the country. It's why it's called Arch Mania. And there's the good and the bad. We've talked about it, the teardown, right? The build up and the teardown. Well, there's also the part of it that who's going to latch on and try to build a following or whatnot, just talking about Arch. Well, we're finding that out now. So just if I were somebody, I'd keep a spreadsheet of all this. I'm not. I don't have time. But if I was a fan, some smart fans keeping a spreadsheet of all this. And one day we'll be able to bring it all right in. You can be on Coffee and Football if you build the spreadsheet and keep it. And we'll have you on a show in a year and a half, and you can tell us about all of it because it's there for somebody to do.
Well, what I was going to say is, I mean, they're even friends of ours like Brooks Austin, the film guy, other people that said, oh, there's something wrong here. You know, okay, you can't jump to that You can't make that leap. You just can't. So, anyways.
Yeah, and look, and I'm not sitting here saying players don't have soreness, right? People get hit in football, but the people are going to an extreme on this, is what's happening.
Yeah. Sark was not. Can you go back to that, please, real quick? Because there's a comment there from D. Jones. All true, Bobby, but he was a little rough on that reporter. Sark himself said later that Arch was going through growing pains. That's all the reporter said. No, that's not an accurate representation, D. Jones. The reporter was talking about the grimace that Arch showed. That's not growing pains. Growing pains is overstriding or not seeing a receiver come open or not throwing it with anticipation. That's the kind of growing pains Sark is talking about, not actual physical growing pains, because he's still growing.
One of the other things that we learned, I say learned, we got an update, I guess I should say, on Trey Wisner's status. I'm going to play that for y'all next, fellas.
Trey, I'd probably say today is doubtful. I'm not ruling him out, but I'd say is doubtful. Again, I'm at this juncture of the season, I'm just not in a rush to push guys back out there if they're not as close to 100% or even closer. Like I just know how long this thing goes, and I know what it's going to look like in October and November and December and hopefully January. Like, is the juice worth the squeeze right now for Saturday? Now we're rehabbing them. We're trying to get them ready to go, and then we'll make a decision as we get closer to the ball game of what that looks like.
Yeah, look, this one's simple for me. If you need Trey Wisner to beat UTEP, you have a lot of problems. Michael Taff, if he's injured, I don't care. Like if you need all these pieces to beat up on UTEP, then you have some problems. And Texas does not have those sort of problems. So look, I think it's great to get Christian Clark more carries and see how he builds from first carries of his career to second game. How does it slow down for him? He's more decisive. I think it's time to see some James Simon on the field personally. So I would not play these guys the next 2 weeks if anybody's nicked up at all that is a starter level player. And that doesn't mean I'm not respecting an opponent, but what I am respecting is the talent level Texas has recruited. That's what I'm respecting. So, and you don't need to play. There is enough talent to go around. It's a good opportunity to get a James Simon on the field potentially. There's no reason to play these guys. You want them close to 100% as possible by Florida, because Florida and Oklahoma is going to be a tough 2-game stretch in a row physically.
I was just going to mention this. Other injuries that we're tracking. Alex January, we believe, going to be out for at least another week. He missed the San Jose State game. You mentioned Michael Taff. He left the game with a little bit of a knee knock. He met with the media, though, yesterday, Jerry, which would lead me to believe he's probably going to play. Jack Indries, the tight end, had a little ankle issue on Saturday. Not sure what his exact situation is right now. Colin Simmons was out with a bicep, I think it was. Don't think that's anything long term. And you mentioned, of course, Trey Wisner.
And you muted your mic.
And I muted my mic during the middle of that whole thing.
No,
at the end.
No, at the very end. I think I need to buy you a whiteboard.
There may be others that have lingering injuries. Like Trey Wisner's is lingering, by the way. And I mentioned this yesterday. He was injured before Ohio State, but was able to go. If this was A&M this weekend, Trey Wisner would be playing. I'll put it that way for folks.
And by the way, Tom Doyle, you have a great question, and we are going to get to that in this show. That's a great question. We'll get to that in this show.
One thing I do want to get to from the chat before, Bobby, I'll let you tell everyone about Austin Underground, is this comment from Brian Hughes. Brian says, celebrating my 34th birthday with a cup of coffee and talking Texas football. So happy birthday to you, Brian, and thanks for joining us.
Brian, happy birthday, Brian, in 10 more years, you'll be celebrating your 30th for the 14th time. So it's important to, as you get closer to 40, then you got to distinguish 30th for the however many time.
All right, Bobby, tell us about Austin Underground this morning.
Yeah, absolutely will do. Austin Underground, since 2004, has specialized in difficult underground commercial installations. The team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick Vavro and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground. They also have a sister company called TexasRoad.com. Texas Road takes on big road projects, subdivisions, etc. If you're interested in that and have some development you're doing, reach out to Rick and his team either at Austin Underground or Texas Road.
All right, one more Sark clip to play for y'all this morning before we move on. And this one, he's talking about the offensive line performance. Of course, we're going to get into some different position group performances as well, or player performances. But here's what he had to say about the offensive line yesterday.
Yeah, I thought in week one, we played pretty good against that group. Two very different style of defenses, where Ohio State was a big, physical, traditional, it's mano a mano, and you got to block really good people right in front of you. San Jose State was smaller. They were quicker. They were moving every snap. We totally lost our fundamentals. We got on our toes. We were falling over ourselves. We gave up way too much penetration. And that we have to know what we're playing against. And then you have to take it to practice. Every opponent's different. It's like you got to wipe the slate clean on a Monday morning. Here we go. Here's the scouting report. Here's what they're good at. Here's maybe what they're not so good at. Here's how we're going to try to exploit them. Here's the guy that I'm lining up across the majority of the game. Here's his strengths. Here's his weaknesses. How am I going to play him? I didn't think we carried enough information into the game and applied it up front. And so to me, I think that showed a little bit of our immaturity up front Saturday, that it wasn't the same game. It was a different game. You can't play it the same. And so, that's something where I think we need to grow this week and learn and understand of who's my opponent, what are they trying to do to me, how are they trying to beat me, and then how am I going to combat that within the ball game.
Yeah, and he was talking more about pass pro on that, Bobby, than anything. Is what he was talking about. And we kind of talked about that, how it was more the pass rush, the Texas pass pro, than in the run game that was kind of your head scratch from that game.
Yeah, let's bring in a coach to talk to us about that. What do you guys think? Coach Shipley, how you doing this morning, buddy?
Beautiful morning in Abilene, Texas.
You living the dream up there?
It's a little cool this morning up there, isn't it, Coach? It's a little
cool. We're in our mid-60s from here on out, pretty much.
There you go.
Woo. Hey, with Rudy O's in Turks and Caicos, so he's got you beat, Coach.
Rudy, get me
Abilene versus Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, our water has a little browner tint.
Hey, Coach.
Jerry
was just talking. Jerry was talking about it, and then Sark was talking a little bit about the offensive line on Saturday and what he perceived as some issues. Maybe was it pass protection that bothered you the most? Was it the run blocking and consistency of it? It sounded like Sark may have been talking about a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it probably is both. One thing that I do buy into, though, is the fact that, that we played against a totally different defensive line from week one, and the way those guys were moving, slanting, that's a problem. But we also have a problem with our reach blocks. That's difficult. And we seem to do okay with the counter, with the backside guard and tackle pulling, unless one of them's a tight end, and especially named Jordan Washington. And he just doesn't have enough experience doing that. The guy he was supposed to kick was lined up further outside, but was coming in, and his eyes went on upfield when the guy came in and easily made the play, But anyway, what I saw is things that are fixable. Again, this is a total different look from what they saw the week before, and which is good because I would imagine UTEP's probably an undersized, scrappy defensive line, and So, those guys are going to get under your pads. They're going to try to beat your first step and get underneath your reach block. The high-low block down there on the big play on the goal line was, first of all, was not a good design. When you have a guard that's covered and he's pulling, so the tackle's blocking down and their center's trying to reach, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know how you can execute that block without being a chop block, actually, unless you're both just, up high. But anyway, I think what I saw is fixable, whether it's the offensive line blocking, the tight end blocking. I would like to think that it's all fixable. I always say blocking is a lot like tackling. It's about 80% want to, and but in this case, I don't think the want to was a problem. I think it's exactly what Sark said. It's the fundamental techniques. You start getting lazy, after getting ready for Ohio State for months, really, and then you realize it's a different angle you have to take at a different speed.
Yeah, different speed.
All fixable. All fixable.
It's similar to Arizona State last year in a way. Not as good of players, but it was smaller players that were quicker players that were slanting more. What Sark said kind of reminded me of what Arizona State did against Texas.
You think that there's some similarities there to what maybe that's what Texas having problems with, smaller, quicker lines, Bob?
Yeah, I think that's definitely an issue.
And they go after big humans, so
Yeah.
the deployment of smaller, quicker guys against that big human probably is the way to go.
Yeah, I always like to tighten my splits and just mano a mano, let's blow them off the ball, kind of thing. Because you're not going to beat them laterally. You're not going to reach those guys. And in fact, it's going to be really difficult zone blocking. Of course, there are some reaches on zone blocking, but penetration kills an outside zone block. And so, yeah, it is. It is definitely something that is happening, but it's something that we've just been, like you said, Bobby. You're used to going against giants every day, and then your first game's Ohio State. That you're expecting this guy to be a pushover because he's so much smaller.
Yeah.
But,
hey, we would be remiss with a name like Shipley and a last name like Shipley.
Are you having remiss on air?
We would be remiss not to ask him about receivers.
Oh. There might be donuts on air.
I thought it was going to be about donuts.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be about the kicker.
Well,
you related to him today because he made a right hash.
Or I thought you were going to talk about Spring Break '84.
Let's talk about that. Let's do an orange show on that later.
In all seriousness, Coach, the receivers, Sark said, look, Parker Livingston is absolutely stepping up and someone they are relying on now. Ryan Wingo, he said he thinks is pressing at this point. What do you think about the play of the receivers and add in the tight end there? Because I think that's part of a definite part of the passing game for the Longhorns right now.
Yeah. Well, injuries obviously is I say obviously. I said obviously last week. Obviously, we have a punter.
Yeah.
And this week he wasn't quite so obvious. But after catching 2 touchdown passes, injuries is going to be a guy obviously who's going to be able to be a threat down the field. And so that's a really good thing. I feel like that the tight end is it's a as Sark says, it's a second most important position on the field, but it is very difficult to play because you've got to be an offensive lineman and you've got to be a wide receiver. Sometimes you've got to be a running back. I mean, sometimes they line them up as a fullback. And so there's so many different things, offensive linemen, they're going to work on the pass blocking all the time, and the run blocking. The tight end has to work on run blocking and pass blocking, and spends a ton of time on his routes. And so it's just going to take a little longer for our tight end to develop. And I'm talking specifically about Jordan because it was obvious when they put him on a beast of a defensive end to try to block. That didn't work out too well. But anyway, I think that's something that's going to help us. What was the second part of the question?
The receiver group, and
Right.
specifically,
Right.
look, we talked about Texas's need for playmakers. That somebody had to step up.
Right.
Livingston is stepping up right now. Ryan Wingo, Sark thinks, is pressing a little bit. You agree with that estimation?
Yeah, I do. I do agree with it. And I'm going to tell you, I was worrying about him as a player, and I was worrying about not his ability, but his psyche, his attitude, maybe his discipline. And I was grateful to hear Sark talk about him yesterday being probably the most conscientious person on the team, and is, wants to do everything right and all that stuff. Everybody looks up to him. I was really glad to hear that. And so, yes, that would lead me to believe that somehow maybe he needs to get Vince Young's pregame playlist, to the chilled one or whatever it was, because he just, or maybe actually Vince was probably a good guy to talk to just about not making the game bigger than the game, and just go out there and have fun and do your thing. I just can't imagine. I never played in front of crowds like that, so I can't imagine what it's like for those guys.
Yeah.
To have to feel like they're, especially if you have that type of personality that you like to please and you hate to disappoint people, when you go out there and drop a pass or get knocked off your route in front of 100,000 people, you're disappointed in yourself, But anyway, yeah, I think it'd be good to have a little talk with Vince on how to chill and just play loose, because he did it as well as anybody.
Coach, I hadn't talked to you since the game. What were a couple things you really liked from Saturday? Thinking back on the game now.
Things that I liked?
Yeah.
I liked seeing our young receivers get in the game, get their hands on the ball. And I think, I was pretty harsh on that group. Obviously, the perimeter blocking and things like that, are going to have to improve. But I think we do lack that playmaker, and he might be, his name might be Mosley. I don't know who that guy is going to be, but the ability to stretch the field, and then have and I'm not saying DeAndre Moore is not going to be that guy either, but we need another one. And then okay, here's an issue. If Mosley comes back, who sits on the bench? You put DeAndre on the bench, you put Parker on the bench, no. I mean, and that's going to be a good problem to have, but I just don't think we've quite got in sync and got our feet on the ground and feel real comfortable about everything we're doing. We can't be running the safeties as we're trying to run, a deep post pattern and knock us off, So just things that we'll learn, and it's a young team, and I know we were all hoping it would come together quicker than it did, but I like that room, and I think it's just going to take a little bit of time.
Jerry asked you for things you liked. Anything on defense that stood out to you that you liked on Saturday?
I like our linebackers a lot.
Yes. Yes.
But I just felt it was a little bit frustrating at times because they completed a lot of passes on us. But that's the old run and shoot. I mean, to me, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. To me, that offense looks like a combination of the run and shoot and the air raid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just these little concepts, try to overload a small area of the zone and then have somebody do a little, whip route or something out of it, and just try to make a big play out of a short pass. But anyway, I felt like it was a great game for our DBs to get work in, and taking good angles and being sure tacklers, and that type. But man, our linebackers were impressive. I really am excited about that group and glad that they're right in the middle where they can try to keep the guys behind him in line and the guys in front of him in line. But anyway, yeah, I think that's the thing that I like the most. And I thought our edge did a good job, not a great job, but I thought they did a good job.
All right.
Yeah, Coach, I was going to say, I think the thing about the linebacker group that we talked about this preseason was the versatility. They haven't even blitzed Anthony Hill yet. They're saving that for the SEC, obviously. I bet he hadn't blitzed a handful of times this season. But Ty Anthony Smith's versatility, LaFau is a stud between the tackles in the run game, right? Trey Moore. There's some versatility. Even Bo Barnes is a talented kid. It feels like to me it may be the most versatile group they've had in a while, and what they can, and all those guys' skill sets and how they can bring that together as the season moves along and play them all to their strengths, and scheme versatile, depending on who you play.
Yeah. And you remember we talked about this for the last couple of years, actually, the players that Sark was signing defensively that were so versatile, you know, and there was a common thread through all of them. Almost every one of them could play another position, you know, and had another skill set. And so I think as we started getting into SEC play, we're going to start seeing some of those things that we were hoping we were going to see. And that is, you know, Hill coming off the edge more, blitzing more, you know, showing some different looks that we haven't shown yet with guys in different positions.
Yes.
You know, and lined up at different. So that's going to make it even more difficult for the SEC teams in the future that see that on tape to prepare for us. Because now, just because with this guy's here, it's going to be this, and if they're going to do this, they're running NASCAR, then this guy's got to come out and this guy's got to come in. And now all that's out the window because of the versatility that we have. And it's all across the secondary too.
Yeah.
You know, all across secondary, versatile players. And I think we're about to see that pay dividends. I just don't think we're doing a whole lot of funny stuff, or not funny stuff, but, you know, game plan stuff that we know would stuff these guys, because we're going to wait and use it in conference play.
Decoys, basically, you know, or yeah. Hey, I got to ask you before we let you go. Thank you for joining us, by the way, Coach. I appreciate you. You were on lunch with the coach yesterday, as well as the Monday night live stream with Rod and CJ. I got to ask you one more thing. Did you know that Arch Manning and Parker Livingston are roommates?
You ready for that?
If I had my hat on, I would do a CJ hat. All I have to say is thank God their parents weren't roommates. Their dads weren't roommates. I can tell you that's a joke that was never good, and it always gets old.
Take care, Bob. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Thank you so much. McCoy and Shipley. Now it's Livingston and Manning, I guess.
Oh boy.
Speaking of oh boy, Jerry, you know what time it is? It's Tushy time.
Tushy with your Tushy, baby. Here we go. A-hole, balloon knot, fart box, stink wrinkle, leather Cheerio. Hadn't heard that one before. Cornhole, mud button. They're only dirty words if you white. Men will laugh about farts until the day we die. People are doing it right now in the chat and on the show. But the second we need to talk to a doctor about our bottom half, we clam up. Bidets normalize talking about your bottom health while making bathroom visits so much more comfortable. Men will life hack everything but their toilet paper consumption. Using a Tushy bidet means you leave the bathroom so much cleaner than when you walked in. Let's get into that a little bit. Look, Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and bottom health for your life. 99% of people who wash with Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. That's a good thing, by the way. Every Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. The daily decadence with practical benefits. That's what we call this. Over half the people who wash with Tushy soothe their hemorrhoids, Florida fans, and 9 out of those 10 people reduce itching and discomfort. Billy Napier, if you're on the hot seat like this, Tushy may not be for you. It may not help you. Instead of wiping endlessly with toilet paper, Tushy pristinely removes 99% of the bacteria from your booty while protecting your natural skin barrier thanks to one natural ingredient, fresh water. Remember, a-hole is only a dirty word if you wipe. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code ONTexas, all caps at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code ONTexas.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff there, Jerry. And speaking of good stuff, I need to tell everyone about Prize Picks as well, because we make decisions daily, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And with football now here, it's time to make that cash, make that money. Prize Picks is simple to play. You're just going to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. It's the best way to get in on sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Georgia, Florida, and of course, right here in Texas. Prize Picks has the NFL. They have college football. They have literally any and every sport that you want. And I haven't got a chance to really dig in deep, but I think I'm going to take Notre Dame quarterback C.J. Carr to have more than 149 passing yards and probably Marcel Reed to have at least 1 touchdown. So some Notre Dame versus A&M action on that one. Come join me on those picks or make your own in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTexas when you sign up. They're going to give you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. Run your game. All right.
Make your picks on your Tushy.
Find both. Let's see here. One thing I wanted to say real quick is happy birthday to Patrick Page. He too has a birthday today. He says he's celebrating by having plumbing work done in his kitchen and bathroom, spending money. Hooray for me. He says he turns 46.
At least you got Longview Lobos football Friday, Patrick.
There you go. And get on Prize Picks, baby. Win some of your money back there, Patrick. All right, guys. Let's see here. Jerry, you're on the road, obviously, as you sit in the hotel room. Tell us what you got in recruiting.
Yeah, so I was at Miami Northwestern yesterday, which I've been there, I think, twice. That was my 3rd time there. It's actually one of my favorite stops. They've had so many NFL players come through. It's kind of a cool older school. But by the way, there was a monsoon yesterday, so there's no practice. And anybody that's been in Miami in a monsoon knows, like, you're literally driving in a foot of water. It was pretty crazy. I think it took me 3 hours to drive 70 miles. So that wasn't fun. But I sat down with James Johnson, which was great. Interviewed him. We'll have that video coming up here. Producer Matt is getting that prepped and ready. We're going to have that later. But what I can tell you about talking to the Miami Northwestern staff about James and sitting down with James. First, I think James wants to be at Texas. Look, and Miami's not going to give up on him. Florida, whoever's coaching, they're not going to give up on him. Florida State will try to recruit him. But I think he really likes the idea of getting, this same thing that we always say about why Texas is never going to keep every kid at home. I think James likes the idea of getting out of state for college and doing something different. There's a reason he was committed to Georgia and then Texas. The in-state schools have lost out twice on him. So there's a reason for that. And I'm not saying something can't happen. Mario Cristobal, all he told him was December's a long way away. That's what his point was to tell James Johnson. But basically saying, we're coming after you hard until signing day, which they should. It's like the Miami Northwestern coach said, one of the coaches said to me yesterday, and I say it all the time, if you just let Dia Bell and Derek Cooper and James Johnson leave the state, you're not doing your job as coaches. So you're going to keep recruiting those guys. But I think James really likes the idea of being at Texas. He had a great visit over the weekend, spent time with Kenny Baker and Sark. He's friends with Myron Charles because James is originally from North Fort Myers. Myron's from Port Charlotte. Those guys have known each other for a while. He spent some time with Josiah Sharma and Justice Terry. All 3 of those guys said they're very happy with their decision to go to Texas, which is also good to hear from the freshman D lineman standpoint. But I thought it was the young quarterback over there, Neiman Lawrence, has got a chance. There's a 2027 receiver that's a stud, but I think he'll probably stay in state. But James Johnson and Texas are in a good place. Then there's been a lot of questions about Corey Wells. Made some calls, but I had plenty of time on the road yesterday. But again, on James, didn't get to see them practice because that was just a monsoon, man. They probably can't practice on that field today. I have a lot of sport turf down there, by the way.
Hey, Jerry, I've got to ask you this. A lot of people, and you mentioned his name briefly, Corey Wells, the defensive lineman out of Mississippi that made an unofficial visit to Auburn over the weekend. A lot of people now putting in crystal balls or what have you for Corey Wells to flip to Auburn from Texas. This is a young man Texas really likes. What is the latest that you have heard, and what's going on in that recruitment?
Well, the one thing I can tell you is Texas wants Wells. They're fighting to keep Wells. Auburn's going after him. And look, I actually love this because you're recruiting the right players. And it's like if Auburn's not trying to flip him, you may not be recruiting the right player. If Ole Miss isn't trying to flip him. But obviously Auburn is considering, trying to get the brother, Chris Wells, who's at Petal 2, committed to South Alabama as a linebacker. Now, I'm not saying it's a cow and calf deal. I think Chris Wells is a good player. And I think he's going to be a senior riser in the state of Mississippi. But Auburn, Corey Wells is one of the better defensive linemen in that Mississippi, Alabama, in those two states in this class. And Texas has talked to him a couple times since the visit. And I think Texas is fighting very hard on Corey Wells because they really like Corey Wells as a prospect. They could have taken some other guys, and they took Wells. They really love his upside ability. So my bottom line on that right now is I know all the picks are coming into Auburn after the visit to Auburn. I can tell you this: Texas is fighting hard to keep Corey Wells because they want Corey Wells. If they didn't really, really want him, they'd let it go. But they want Corey Wells in this class.
And you're saying that communication lines remain open.
Oh yeah,
it's not like he's shut it down or something like that.
Yep. No, has not shut it down at all. Last thing I'll say on recruiting is Austin Gooseby, brother of Trevor Gooseby, 5-star guard, future NBA draft pick. He was on campus for an official visit last weekend. I think Texas did a great job with that. I stayed the same on Austin Gooseby. I think this will come down to Texas and Duke. I could give Texas a slight advantage, but there's still OVs to Baylor and BYU to come. But I think Austin Gooseby, Texas did a great job. Sean Miller did a great job really presenting a plan for Austin Gooseby if you were to pick Texas. Then the other 5-star on campus was Cameron Williams, the 6'11 and a half skilled power forward out of Phoenix, St. Mary's. I think he had a great visit to Texas as well. I think Texas will sign 2 or 3 high school prospects in this class. Cameron Williams, he still has visits to Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, Arizona, USC. That's a battle royale. But Texas did really well with Cameron Williams, sneaky good with Cameron Williams. I think Sean Miller's doing a really good job. Chris Ogden is GM. That staff is they're doing a good job. Big visits coming up in hoops, the 12th, 19th, and 26th. A lot of big time guys coming in. And I'm on the road. We'll be at probably Derek Cooper's practice today.
Woo! What's his back plate gonna say? He's known for that. What's he gonna say today?
What Texas fans would love it to say is "Stop calling me Mario," but I don't think it's gonna say that.
Comma after the "stop calling me."
Yes. Comma Mario. Brian Berg, Marcus Spears Jr. was on campus. He's going to be on campus a lot. The junior, obviously Marcus Spears Jr., but the junior 6'8" forward, one of the top basketball prospects in the country. His sister's a freshman on the volleyball team. He'll be on
a good freshman on the volleyball team.
Yes.
Very good. All right, let's jump over to some super chats this morning. We got a few of them here. Let's start with V. Brown. Thank you, V. Brown. Says, I've heard rumors that Kyle Flood doesn't even use the sled during camp. If that's true, isn't that basically O-line coaching malpractice?
It's untrue. I've seen him use the sled. Saw him use it twice in the 2 practices I was at in camp.
Yeah.
So I don't know about coaching malpractice and whether it would be or wouldn't be, but he uses the sled.
And then Terrence Jones here, thank you, Terrence, says, hey, Bobby and Jerry, is Texas going to a natural grass field next season?
I've spoken to Chris Del Conte, and he's always said 26 was the year for that. But he's also said, I want to get far enough down with this practice facility. The one that he was on last Friday, for those of you guys missed, Chris was. That is looking June of next year. If he sees that is in line, in place, paid for, etc., that'll allow him to really dig in and make that decision on grass or what they do for 2026. But that's been the year he said he could really look at it and maybe get it done. It's a good question, because I think I want to see Texas go to grass, full grass.
Then we have a super chat from Jeff Carey. Jeff says it would be great if OTF grades Sark every game. Bobby?
I mean, I guess we could. I have no problem with it. The reality of it is it's hard to grade head coaches and not grade individual positions, and the coaches at individual positions, the coaches of the offense and the defense. I think that the coach, when it's the head coach, he effectively is the grade of the team. And so I don't see a need to necessarily, grade the head coach when, if you grade the offense a C and the defense a B, that's the grade of the head coach. And the special teams a D or whatever it was this past week. My point being, they are those grades, in my opinion. Like, I understand what you're asking for, but I don't see the need to break it down that far. As long as they're winning, coach gets an A. When they lose, they get an F. That's how it works. That's how it works, basically, for me. So, and I'm not trying to be, glib. It's a very bottom line business for head coaches.
And speaking of grades, before we look at some, I want to bring up this one real quick from Loba Bread. Thank you, Loba Bread. Says currently the first person in line to meet VY Vince Young at HEB in San Antonio while watching OTF. Hook 'em. Never met him, so I'm pretty excited, says Loba.
Hey, throw a question at him he's not expecting. Ask him this. When he was playing free safety and North Shore had the ball at the end of the game and they ran power on 4th and 20, was he surprised that this North Shore ran power on 4th and 20 with the season on the line that year? Because that shocked the hell out of me. And he was playing safety. That'd be interesting to see if he thought power was coming on 4th and 20 with the season on the line.
Oh, man. All right, let's go back. PFF obviously grades the players after every game, and I thought we could look at the top 10 on offense and defense, see if anything stands out to y'all. Maybe y'all are surprised by something, and we're going to start here with the offense. Arch Manning was actually number 1, followed by Goose.
That would have been a 91-7 if he didn't grimace.
Yes. Gooby, Robertson, Kibble, and then Moore make up your top 5, fellas. But anything in that top 10, of course, Indries, Lockett, Livingston, Caldwell, Baxter finish out the top 10. But anything that stands out to you or surprises you?
Look at that pass blocking grade from C.J. Baxter. We mentioned Jordan Washington missed a block. C.J. Baxter went out into a route when he had a free rusher right next to him late in that game. If C.J. Baxter's pass blocking is different, and he's better than that, he rises in that ranking pretty considerably, I think.
Yeah. That's his first bad game as a pass protection.
Yeah, it was weird. It almost looked like he didn't know who to pick up because it was between him and the tight end.
Yeah.
And I think it was him and Nick Townsend at that point. And both went out into the route instead of picking up the blitzer. It was I would say the two interesting ones to me are, how are Connor Robertson and Nate Kibble ranked 3 and 4 when I think combined they got 16 snaps between the two?
Yeah.
Like, they should do a minimum number of snaps to give us more of the guys that played the full games. But anyways,
yeah,
I digress. I think that Arch Manning probably did have the best game as a offensive player. I think Parker Livingston probably had the second best. Jack Indries was up there. Maybe Gooseby. I'll be honest. Whenever I rewatch the game, this is how much confidence I have in Trevor Gooseby right now. I'm not really, when I rewatch the game and go look at the offensive line, I'm looking from really the left guard to the right tackle. I'm not even looking at Gooseby. It's maybe I got in that habit whenever Kelvin Banks was on campus at left tackle, but I'm looking at left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. Like, what's going on over there? So maybe it was Trevor Gooseby, and I just didn't see him.
I think one of the things, Bobby, and I don't know what you and Rod on the second watch had to say, and it's showing up here. Wide receivers blocking has to get a lot better.
Oh yeah, perimeter blocking.
And it's not just a run game, but if you're going to have a horizontal perimeter passing game, they have got to get a lot better blocking on this team. That's been a strength at times this year, and through two games, long season. That is the opposite of a strength on this team.
Well, Parker Livingston to start the game had the hold. DeAndre Moore with a 60. The one that I just don't understand. I don't see how you can throw a wide receiver screen or wide receiver quick game and have Ryan Niblett your lead blocker.
Right.
I like Ryan Niblett. I think he's a hard-nosed player. He's just too easy to get around for longer-armed cornerbacks to play into that space. So I felt a couple of those were like destined for failure at the outset.
Bobby, I think when everybody thinks about Emmett Mosley from a pass catching standpoint, and I get it because he had a good freshman year, but 6'2", 210, strong player with explosiveness is needed in your blocking game on the perimeter too. He's going to bring a lot to this team, in my opinion.
Okay, next let's look at the defense here. Anthony Smith, linebacker number 1, followed by Brad Spence, Burke, Moore, Phillips, your top 5, and then Canoe, Taft, Shaw, Sharma, and Jackson make up the top 10. What stands out to y'all regarding that?
Defensive line, man. Look at that. How many of them? I mean, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 10 are defensive linemen. That's what stands out to me.
Yeah. 92 is a really high grade for a linebacker in run defense, by the way. And I know everybody, you take PFF with a grain of salt sometimes, but it does give you a look, right? Anthony Smith, that game was tailor-made. We talked about that on the from the co-op. That was a tailor-made game for him. Like, he's a really good player, period, but that was right up his alley. Anytime a game is going to be played in space, that dude's he's going to make plays. I think Ethan Burke's playing a really solid brand of football this year for Texas. Hero Canoe is as well, and being asked to do multiple things, so they're putting more on his plate. And Lance Jackson obviously is not a surprise from a talent standpoint. I think playing as many snaps as he has, even though getting in against Ohio State, and then playing as many snaps as he has, tells you that he's not just physically a really talented player, but he's learning fast, which is really good for him, because you don't have to put a freshman out at edge on this team.
I got to say this real quick. 5 defensive linemen on this list, and not a single Murad Watson after having 1.5 sack.
Yeah. And 5 tackles.
Yeah. That's just, but if you were talking about that 92 run defense grade that Smith got, Jerry, you'll notice that blue indicator next to the 92. That means elite.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean just regular good or above average. That means elite. I would say that's a part of it. The other one, look at Michael Taft's tackling grade.
Yeah.
85.4. Man,
that's all space tackling for him.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's really, that
was actually the highest of all defenders, by the way.
That makes sense. Makes sense. I thought Travis Shaw had a good game. He showed something in pass rush. That one time he literally did a pirouette of sorts, on one guy and blew past two blockers at once. I'm interested to see really how those guys perform against a those interior guys perform against a John Mateer and a DJ Lagway, guys that you're gonna have to hold your lanes in pass rush against Mateer and Lagway. Otherwise, they'll burn you with their legs. Let's see what happens when those guys go against them.
Okay, let's see here. I tell you what, before we get to some more super chats, Jerry, I need you to tell everyone this morning about one of your favorite products, one of all of our favorite products, actually, Goodr.
Yeah, I think CDC has some Goodrs, by the way. My Goodrs were put to use yesterday. 3 hours sitting in traffic in South Florida yesterday. It's stylish sunny, starting only $25 a pair, 1 year free warranty, 30-day free returns. You won't need that now. Warranty, yeah, I just got to say it. Lightweight and comfortable, 100% polarized, no slip, no bounce. From vibrant colors to sleek styles, there's a pair of Goodrs for every personality out there in the big wide world. Designed for both everyday wear and active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, and much, much more. So when do you wear your Goodrs, Sonnies, is the next question. Well, if you're in Florida, at the beach, on a run, playing tennis, playing pickleball, golfing, I'm not sure on a hike, but any of these things, any of these outdoor activities, or driving in the Florida sun, which I will be doing all week now that it's sunny, you're going to wear your goodies because they're so affordable. The Goodrs. You don't have to worry about losing or breaking them. You can have a pair for every occasion. If you need a new pair of Sunnies, Goodr is giving On Texas football listeners free shipping. You can go to Goodr.com/OnTexas and use that code On Texas, all caps, for free shipping. Goodr offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. Don't need it, crinkle noise, and 100% satisfaction, I guarantee. Again, that's Goodr.com/OnTexas and use that code On Texas for free shipping. And for the chat, no, I have not worn my Goodrs on the Tushy. Whoever's going to ask that.
No one's asking. Somebody's
going to ask that. I have not worn my Goodrs on the Tushy.
No one's asking. All right. Let's see. I need to tell everyone, or I don't need to tell everyone. I need Colt and Vince to tell everyone about advanced pain care.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. Advanced pain care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and advanced pain care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced pain care. The pain stops here.
Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. I don't know. He's never met an Aggie fan.
Loba Bread says, he's the one standing in line at HEB. He's going to ask about it.
There you go. In all seriousness, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Is that the case for Aggies? I mean, it seems like pain is just suffering is not an option for them.
I was thinking more Florida fans right now.
Oof.
Alabama last week.
Oh,
they exercised some demons, 73-0. Jeez.
You saw the lady in Alabama that bought Powerball tickets just so in case she won, she could buy out Kalen DeBoer.
That was awesome.
I think she said that like on the news, right?
Yeah, said it on the news. Said it was the very first thing that she was going to do. Like, what is it, a $71 million buyout?
Yeah. She was like, I'm going to put 70 million of my 400 to buying out Kalen DeBoer. I was like, yeah. Alabama fans are different.
There's a reason most people that win the lottery go broke at some point in their life. That may be example one, exhibit 1A.
Oh, hey, Hookham Hayden. I hadn't even looked at the rankings, but wow. Oof.
Yeah.
Florida's got a schedule. By the way, Tennessee, Georgia. We mentioned this yesterday. It is worth mentioning for the guys that are following along. We get our first SEC injury reports this year, by the way, with some of these SEC games. But Tennessee's 2 starting corners are out. Jermod McCoy out of White House High School, the preseason All-American, out. Ricky Gibson, the third, he is out. So both starting cornerbacks out this game. Now, McCoy didn't play in the opener. Georgia was without 2 starting offensive linemen against Austin P. Not P-E-E. They're hoping to get Juan Gaston and left tackle Ernest Green back this week. We'll see on that. But they were without 2 starting OLs for that Austin P game.
All right. Speaking of other games, Sugar Cane Daddy for the super chat says if Texas beats Florida, Bobby needs to read the Tushy ad.
Bobby?
Why am I the one that has to do these things? Like, why y'all? Jerry willingly does these things. Just put it all on Jerry.
Nah.
I put all those. I'm the reticent one. Don't put it on me, Sugar Cane.
And then one other super chat from Sugar Cane, going back to Anthony Hill. He says Anthony Mayweather Jr.
Nice.
He did have a right cross.
Yeah.
They, one thing that, and I don't know, do we have the Anthony Hill comment from yesterday on video for folks?
I don't. I can try to find it, but I don't have it.
That actually brings something up. Anthony Hill met with the media as well yesterday, as well as Sark and a couple of other players we mentioned. One of the things that Anthony Hill mentioned, look, he goes, of course he didn't mean to hit the guy in the jaw. He's just trying to be physical. But the one thing that Anthony Hill said, I want us all to be more physical, the entire defense to be more physical. It's not just about me. It's about all of us. He's like, I want the Texas defense to be known as physical. Those sorts of plays will make you look physical. But he needs he wants more partners in crime. I thought it was really good on lunch with the coach yesterday, how Coach Brian Irwin described the Texas defense. He goes, we've got some dogs on defense. We've got some real dogs on defense. And I agree with him.
Hey, Dave actually asked this question. It's a good question on Malachi Nelson. Can we talk about Malachi Nelson, a high 5-star out of high school? How does he end up at UTEP? I was never on that boat with him coming out of high school. I don't know. He's a talented kid. Obviously, USC to Boise, now to UTEP. Did not win the starting job at Boise last year. Transferred to UTEP. He will throw it to you, being the opponent, down the field if you get pressure on him. So that's something to watch in the game. And I'm not saying he's not without talent. This is his first real action in college, but I'm not sure he was ever that.
Let's see. We have a super chat from Jerry's Jack Links. Thank you as always. We appreciate it each and every time. He says, I haven't seen the data between pass and run plays, but is Arch's little shoulder shrug thing tail?
You're talking about like a poker tail. If he starts rolling his shoulder, is he going to throw?
Yeah.
Good question.
So you have to go back and watch. Or
we need a poker guy to tell us.
I can't imagine with 1,000 people working at UT football now, they need their own bus and all the analytics that goes into it if they don't have something on that.
You never know, though. I mean, you never know.
You never know.
Somebody needs to go back. Anybody have the time to go back and look? Let us know.
Yeah,
Great question.
Very great. I agree. All right, Jay wants to know, are they going to release player interviews?
They typically do not, Jay. They typically do not. They only air the coach's interview on Monday player availability. Typically. Now, they may go and surprise me today, but I don't think so.
And then Jeff Carey wants to know, I'm afraid to ask this, but I will, since it's a super chat, where is the weirdest place you've worn your Goodrs, Jerry Hamilton?
Give me a couple of minutes to think about this one. It's an interesting question.
Is it really?
Could be.
I mean, outside. Like, what?
Yeah. Let me think about
weird places, like in the bedroom or something. I mean, what?
I don't know. That's interesting. When have I forgot to take off my glasses? We'll see.
Oh, gee.
Moving on, we'll circle back at the end.
We have this great question from this guy. He asked it earlier, and I want to actually get into this, Bobby. This is a very interesting topic for me. Where was it? Golly.
What was it about? And I'll be happy to assist.
It was about not having COVID players.
Oh, I know exactly. Here you go. Tom Doyle says, Jerry, do you think some of the sloppy play we're seeing nationally is because teams no longer have those 6-year COVID players?
Bobby, I think this is a very interesting question. I'm not sure it's directly related to the COVID players, but I will say this. College sports got a year younger this year as a whole. I mean, it really did get younger this year. I thought that was such a good question because I do think when you're turning over these schools, you're turning over 33% of your rosters a lot of times. I see college football being more like basketball now, and it's going to take a little longer for you to round your team together. If you're turning over a third of your roster, there's no way you're going to be as cohesive as some of these teams were and that's why I don't think there's going to be dynasties anymore. You're not going to be as cohesive as you were when all these guys play together on the same team for years and years, and you have that build. There's just too much turnover now, and the game did get younger this year with all the COVID kids, those extra years being gone.
Sark said yesterday, and made a little bit of a reference to some of this, actually, when he talked about, after on an early game on a Saturday, he gets to go home, and late at night, he gets to watch some of the nighttime games, some of the late afternoon games. And he goes, it was actually kind of refreshing to see, oh, wow, these guys are having some of the same issues with sloppy play that we are. Other teams playing great. He goes, I get that. He goes, it was actually refreshing to go see, oh, other people are having some of those same issues. And I do think that experience, I've said this 100 times, and people still want talent to outweigh experience. And it does sometimes, but experience is invaluable. It just is. And so I think that there is a reason, look, is Matthew Caldwell more talented than KJ Lacy? No. Is he more experienced than KJ Lacy? Yes. Is there a reason he's the number 2 quarterback instead of KJ Lacy? Therefore, yes. So I do think that experience means more maybe than some people want it to mean. And that's so whether it's a COVID experience, 6th year, Jerry, or 5th year seniors, Texas does not have a lot of 4th or 5th year seniors on this team. Not many at all compared to the last 2 years.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to look at for the fans of both college football and college basketball in about 5 years to me. And the reason I say that is to that point in football, I think football is going to be a little bit younger sport than basketball. And the reason I say that with college basketball fans out there, look at all the international players that are coming over to college basketball now. I think football is going to have more of an issue with this than basketball because those basketball guys that are coming over internationally to college basketball, they've been playing against pros for 3 and 4 years in some instances. Now, some of those kids are only going to have 2 years left of eligibility, but college, it's going to be interesting to look at these sports in about 4 or 5 years and how at post-COVID, all the kids that had the COVID years post that, what do these sports look like in terms of age and what they look like kind of on the field versus on the court? It's going to be really interesting to see. And some people may not be interested. I actually am because I love both of them.
Okay, let's see here. We got time for just a couple more questions. But first, Bobby, tell us about Austin Underground because I nearly forgot that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Rick Vavro and his team at Austin Underground have specialized in difficult underground commercial installations since 2004. The team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground. Also, go out, if you're out in Jonestown and ever have a chance to catch up with Rick and his group over at the Lone Star Bar, please do so. They serve cold ones each and every day out at the Lone Star Bar.
Thank you, Bobby. And as I said, we got time for just a couple more here. So let's take these 2 super chats. We're going to start with this one from Ran Rodriguez. Thank you, Ran. We've seen Lockett, but what are the chances we see Jamie French in the upcoming weeks, or is he struggling?
French got on the field on Saturday. So I think that he's on the come a little bit, Ran. Maybe not as high as Lockett. McCutcheon had a catch in the game. Lockett had 2. Steve Sarkisian said some nice things about Lockett in yesterday's press conference as well. That fourth down catch was the same play, just to the opposite side that Ryan Wingo dropped. And it was Manning to Wingo. That was Caldwell to Lockett. So we'll see. I think that it's possible Lockett, French, all those guys play in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The question is
Emmett Mosley.
Is Emmett Mosley or who gets to play or who proves they should play against Florida?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is we did talking a ball about this yesterday, Jerry. And these next 2 weeks are proving grounds for players.
Yeah.
And is Josiah Sharma going to get himself into 7 to 10 snaps a game? Those things matter. Like Alex January got himself late in the year into 7 to 10 snaps a game. Is Josiah Sharma going to be that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, just little things like that make a team have more depth, get them more prepared for the next year. Those are sorts of the things that I really look for in games like this. Not just is Arch Manning better week over week? Is the receiver core better week over week? I'm looking for those kind of nuggets that we can talk about. So, I mean, even like week 1 to week 2 for Nick Townsend.
Oh, yeah.
He went out there and blew a guy up against Ohio State. Guess what happens the next game? 19 plays.
And as a lead blocker.
I mean, but that's my point.
Yeah.
He got his chance. He made something, all of a sudden, boom, he's in the rotation.
Yeah.
It's those are the things I'm looking for out of these games. So that's the opportunity that Lockett, French, et cetera, have before them.
Yeah.
And then we will end on this super chat from Rocky P. Thank you, Rocky. Rocky says, almost at 200,000. That is correct. Not far at all. Great job, OTF. How long of a leash does DJ Campbell have? Third-year starter, still making mental mistakes. Has to be troubling for the coaching staff.
You know, I agree with you. He's making some mental mistakes at times, but no offensive lineman is perfect. I want to be clear about that. And he can be so aggressive and so good at times. And he has a mentality that is kind of an attack mentality when he's allowed to do it. I think he has a long leash, as long a leash as you can have. Maybe not the leash of a Trevor Gooseby, right? But I will add this: Nate Kibble looked really, really good. I mentioned that to Jerry on Saturday afternoon, on Sunday afternoon when I did my rewatch. Nate Kibble is going to be a player for Texas, so I think they have enough. I do want to add this. You had this question. This is the 100,000 plaque from YouTube.
Nice.
Yes, we got it in the mail.
That's nice.
I'm going to put it in the background. Thank y'all to everyone that made that possible. By the way, I share that with all of us and everyone. Appreciate it very, very much.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Jerry, go ahead.
What? Oh, I don't. Jeff Carey's asking about the question. It's nothing scandalous. No, it's nothing bad on the Goodr's question.
Nothing juicy for you.
Nothing juicy. No.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Rick Favreau and Austin Underground. We want to thank Austin Underground along with Tushy, Prize Picks, Goodr, and of course, Advanced Pain Care for sponsoring today's show. Bobby, what do you have for people later today?
Several things. Rod is going to go into with Jeff Howe a little bit about the NASCAR package and some tweaks that Rod saw that Texas is doing, lining up some guys a little differently than maybe we had contemplated going into the season. He's going to talk a little bit about that. Jerry, you've got some recruiting information coming out, recruiting segment. Then also we have the night live stream, Amanda Atwell hosting CJ Vogel and Jeff Howe alongside her. I want to add a couple things. One is people have been asking us how to say the name properly, and that's Parker Livingstone. So I've been saying Livingstone off and on for months because it looks like Livingstone. According to the UTSID, the proper way to say it is Livingston, like the Texas city that has a lake. Livingston, okay, without the E pronounced like a hard E. So Livingston. Also, I want to add this, if you don't mind. I spent about 30 minutes last night speaking to Cody Campbell, the Texas Tech Board of Regent chairman, that is outspoken at the very least. I guess that's the best word to put it. Outspoken about the current situation in college sports. I'm going to have an article on that later today around, I'm trying to get through it because it is a little detailed, probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning. But he was very nice with his time. I think he has some good points. I'm going to articulate some of those and some of the pros and cons of that later today on TexasFootball.com.
I will hope you all have an outstanding day today. Of course, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. And I do want to say, if you just miss OTF that much, be sure to get you some gear as well. You can go to shop.ontexasfootball.com or use the QR code that you see on your screen. Get you a hat, get you a mug, get you a lot of hats. And maybe that'll keep you held over between coffee and football episodes there. And anyway. Yes, have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Hook 'em horns.